Hey everyone, welcome to the West Dakota Dad. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have the time and are able to do so, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, a rating, or review, whatever it is. It really helps me to reach out to more and more people. And of course, I'd be very much so grateful for that. So, it has been a while since I've done an episode where we talk about a story of the Bible or a person of the Bible. So I thought, what better week to do it than this week? So today I chose to be talking about a man named Gideon. You can find him in the Old Testament in the book of Judges. He is deemed the weakest man from the weakest clan. And then God calls upon him to lead an army to take down the Midianites. So let's dive into the story of Gideon. This is going to be kind of an abridged version here. So starting with in Judges chapter 6, verse 1, it says, "The Israelites did evil in the Lord's sight. So the Lord handed them over to the Midianites for 7 years. The Midianites were so cruel that the Israelites made hiding places for themselves in the mountains, caves, and strongholds. Whenever the Israelites planted their crops, marauders from Midian, Amalek, and the people of the east would attack Israel, camping in the land and destroying the crops as far as Gaza." Now here's where we run into a man named Gideon. He is hiding grains from the Midianites, and in verse 12 it says, "The angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, 'Mighty hero, the Lord is with you.'" Now talk about a good compliment there. I mean, it's probably like the first time you heard your dad say, "Hey, champ," or "sport," or, something along those lines. Or maybe it's on the other side when your boss comes up to you and goes, "Hey, there's my main man or gal," and they're all buddy-buddy with you. You're probably thinking, "Great. What do you want?" And of course, Gideon replies in the most human-like fashion to this remark from the angel of the Lord. He says in verse 13, "Sir, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? And where are all the miracles our ancestors told us about? Didn't they say the Lord brought us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and handed us over to the Midianites." So, I mean, how many times have we thought of questions like that? Something bad happens, and our first question is why? Or where were you? Why did this happen? Why did you abandon me and everything? And like we have learned from other stories like Job and various other things, the Lord doesn't always have to respond with an answer for your understanding. Sometimes, yes, it will be clear later on, but a lot of times there isn't a reason. And it's not necessarily, it's up to God if he wants to fill us in or not, I guess, in a sense. So the angel of the Lord completely ignores the questions he gave to him and gives him a task. In verse 14, "Then the Lord turned to him and said, 'Go with the strength you have and lead Israel from the Midianites. I am sending you.'" All right, we're just going to cut straight to the chase here. You don't want to answer my questions? Fine. I mean, if I was Gideon, that's probably what I would be thinking. So Gideon then comes up with excuses. He's underqualified, the weakest man from the weakest clan. And so then the Lord says to him, in verse 16, the Lord said to him, "I will be with you, and you will destroy the Midianites as if you were fighting against one man." Okay, so that's some confidence there. Now, again, I don't know why I can just relate to this so well in today's world. Not that I feel like that I am Gideon, but like think of this, or say the Lord is like my boss or anything. By far away from it. Obviously, the Lord is way greater. But think of like when your boss says, "All right, I got this small project for you," and gives you just a couple details and everything, gets you all confident. Then you go out there and you're like, "Oh, okay, this is a lot more involved than I thought it was." That's kind of what's going to happen here, though. Gideon doesn't immediately trust the Lord. He wants to make sure it's truly the Lord that's speaking to him. So he asks for a sign. Gideon asks the Lord to prove to him what all is happening and saying to him by saying he's got this by asking him for a sign. So this sign is going to entail this wool fleece that he lays on the ground. In the morning, he wants the fleece to be filled with dew. but the ground will be completely dry. Because as we know, if you lay something on the ground and there's dew in the morning, it's going to be over everything. It's not going to just pick and choose what it wants to be on. And so the Lord does this. He's able to pick up the wool fleece and wring out a ton of water. And then he's still not quite sure, just make sure it's not a fluke. He asks for him another sign, except vice versa. He wants the wool fleece to be completely dry, but the ground around it to be completely wet. And so the Lord does it again, answers him. So this is where I think Gideon puts his full trust and faith in the Lord. So now comes time for battle. Gideon will have 32,000 warriors, and he's going to go up against an army of 135,000. That's about 4-1, okay? So he's probably thinking to himself, this isn't quite one-on-one. I'm a little nervous, but, I trust you, Lord. This is going to happen. Well, chapter 7, verse 2, the Lord said to Gideon, you have too many warriors with you. If I let you fight the Midianites, the Israelites will boast to me that they saved themselves by their own strength. So in other words, if they win while being outnumbered, they're going to be like, yeah, we're a lot tougher armor than we thought. We took down the giants. Well, God says the timid and afraid will go home, leaving only 10,000 with Gideon. Okay, now we really cut it back. Now it's like 13 and a half people to 1. Okay. Now we got a little bit of an uphill battle here. And so before they even go to battle, he goes, you still got too many. And so if I was Gideon, I'd just be like, oh, come on. Seriously? Like, we are way outnumbered. But I'm not Gideon, and Gideon's not me. So he says, or he does, I don't know what he says, but he's left with Gideon's 300. So 300 Israelites versus the 135,000 Midianites. That's about 450 to 1. This is going to take a miracle. And God can do miracles. So, with God's promise and plan, Gideon and his army were able to be victorious. That's kind of the whole story in a nutshell. If you want to read the whole story, go to Judges chapters 6 through 9. So what can we learn from this? 1, God may not choose the highly qualified or accomplished, but rather he might take the unqualified and make them qualified, and then they'll have great accomplishments. Think of like David and Goliath. A shepherd boy taking down a giant. Next thing you know, he's the king of Israel. Jesus' disciples, tax collectors, fishermen, they weren't like the leading priests or anything. These were guys that Jesus discipled and made him his disciples, and or Saul changing to Paul. All these people were people that nobody thought were qualified to do what they did. So there's that, Then the other one is God can turn our fears and weaknesses into strengths. Gideon was fearful. He was hiding grains from the Midianites rather than being proactive and stand up against them by himself. He was first afraid. He knew he was weak. He told the Lord that he is a weak man and he is not qualified for what he's doing, and turn that into a strength. Okay? And then, of course, trust in the Lord. If Gideon didn't trust in the Lord, when the Lord whittled down his army from 32,000 down to 300, he could have just been like, yep, sayonara, but he didn't. He put his trust in the Lord. And if you go read the story, they were able to defeat the Midianites with ease, almost if it was fighting one man. So, some questions to ask yourself to finish up here. Is there something that you're feeling called to do but don't feel qualified for? You might just be surprised. Maybe apply for that position at work that you might feel unqualified for. Just see what happens. Maybe, whatever it is. Maybe take that next step towards being friendly to your neighbor, or whatever it is. Are you feeling skeptical of an opportunity because it's outside your comfort zone? I guess that first little example I said probably fit more, go talk to your neighbors or something. Sometimes we need to step outside our comfort zone by just a little bit in order to expand our comfort zone. And, then we'll really know, you step outside your comfort zone, then you'll know how you do in certain situations and everything. And have you prayed to God about your next move? If you're feeling idle and you're unhappy, have you prayed to God about what's next? What do you want to do next? Are you wanting to go out and start your own business venture or something? What's your next move? I probably would recommend not just quitting your job and going head first and seeing how it goes. God can work miracles, but it does take a little bit from us to kind of work out some of the details, so we have at least a plan of our own to attack, and then of course God's going to have his own plan for us and show us where to go. So it doesn't really have to be a world-saving calling, like completely quitting your job and abandoning your family, which I definitely don't recommend, because then you're going to be interfering in some other ways that God doesn't want you to do. And go and be a missionary around the world. Sometimes it could just be as simply as volunteering in your community at your church. That can make a huge difference in people's lives. I think about when my pastor had asked me to be a mentor for a confirmation group. I really didn't feel qualified to do so, but he knew that with how many questions I was asking about the church and everything, he thought this would be a great opportunity for me to learn more about the church. And what better way to learn than also teach? So, they give me the material and we just kind of go right into it. So sometimes it's just the small little things that can make the biggest difference. I'm going to finish up here with a verse from Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. For I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So kind of a big story wrapped up into a short little podcast here. Lot to think about with this one, I think, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys pray about what's next for you, what's on your mind. Give a little trust to the Lord, not a lot of trust to the Lord, all your trust to the Lord, maybe even. But hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you have a great week, and until next time, I'm the Dakota Dad. Thanks for listening.